Good Friday afternoon, everybody, as we get ready for a big weekend this weekend coming up. Matt, tonight, Spurs have an opportunity to level things off against the Knicks in a big game coming up, and San Antonio, and we'll see how things go.
Yeah. Coming in tonight, I thought it was interesting. Going into game one, the Spurs opened as a 4.5 point favorite. That's pretty much where the line stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And going into tonight, the Spurs are at 6.5 right now. Now, granted, I don't know if that is, the result of some line movement. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of it, to be honest with you, I would be curious the conditions as to why they would open as so they opened as 5.5 point favorites. It got bet up to 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit more belief in the Spurs' ability to come back and win game two here.
Well, I think if they don't, and they're heading to New York down two, that's not going to be good.
No, it's not because this New York team does have all the momentum in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's like I think we saw it kind of almost be able to carry over into that game one. And
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of it has to do with that team and how resilient they are. But we can't knock what they've done and what they've put together. Really, since I think they lost, what was it? Did they lose the second game to Atlanta in the first round?
Yeah.
Because after they lost that second game, they didn't lose. They haven't lost another game in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've won what would be now. Let's see, is it 9 straight? I think.
I think
Uh,
so.
which, I mean, at that point, you're outside of your sample size. It's just a team that's feeling it and is in a really good rhythm right now.
Yeah, and it's a rhythm that there's no reason to believe that it's going to break.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. I mean, there's just they've shown you what kind of basketball team they are. They understand who they are as a team and as a unit, and they stay true to that. All the way through. I think regardless of what adversity has hit them throughout these playoffs, because there's been games that they should have lost along the way. I mean, you can even go back to game one. I think there's a reasonable argument to be made that they probably should have lost that game being down 17 on the road against the Spurs team in game one of the finals. Like
Mhm.
it's reasonable to not win that basketball game. But the fact that they were able to come back, not only did they come back, they won by 10. Um, there is a level of resiliency here with this New York Knicks team that you can't like we sat here and we talked about the Spurs and how they're able to flush the system game by game and how there's a lot of respect for that and what they've been able to do mentally throughout the playoffs. But this team has embodied their head coach in Mike Brown, I believe is his name. I could
Yeah,
get the yeah.
it is.
Um, they've really done a good job of embodying him. And look, I think that's been the biggest difference in New York. You look at their roster this year compared to last year, there's not a lot of big changes in terms of who they were able to put out on the floor last year versus who they're able to put out on the floor this year. I
Right.
think it's just been a complete, culture and mentality change going from Thibodeau to Mike Brown, which I think they have a lot of similarities. I just think Mike Brown is a little better at connecting to his players than Tibbs was. And they both demand the same thing, but it almost feels like Mike Brown is a bit of an evolved Tom Thibodeau in a way.
Well, yeah, he's a more animated one.
Hmm.
He's and a lot of credit for who they are should go to Thibodeau.
Yeah.
And then Mike comes in and he tweaks things, and sometimes is how it works. Sometimes you've got a coach who's you X's and O's have got it down, fantastic, but game management is not their strong suit. And I
Hmm.
think if you look at this Knicks team, you know, it's the same team from the standpoint of pretty much the X's and O's, what they do, how they win, how they play, but the adjustments that are made and um, the time to to make a substitution and to get a guy off the court and get another guy on the court seems to be um, a bit of a chess match that Brown is better at than Tibbs was. And that's not to, as I say, not to discredit Tibbs. It's just to give Brown the props for knowing how to take the pieces that Tibbs put in place and make them work.
Yeah, yeah, and and it's been sometimes you just need a refresh.
Sure.
Um, and I think the Knicks are probably a really good comparison to what the Atlanta Braves are doing right now in Major League Baseball,
Mm-hmm.
where you're not overhauling the roster necessarily. There's not wholesale changes.
Right.
Sometimes you just need a little bit of a change at the top, and that can fix
Mm-hmm.
it. Now that this isn't universal by any measure, but if you feel like you have the right talent on your roster, you have the right group, you know, in your building,
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes that can work in your favor. There's also been more than enough instances of a team doing that and it just crumbling to the ground. So it's not an end all be all, but there is a certain aspect of your front office, and you have to give the front offices of the Knicks and the Braves credit for both of them, because they understood kind of when things got stale, when the messaging got a little stale from the guys who had been
Mm-hmm.
successful in their roles. Like, it's not that they weren't successful. I mean, you look to Atlanta, Brian Snitker won a World Series. Tom Thibodeau had success in the playoffs with the Knicks. He had made the Eastern Conference Finals before, but it just felt like something was missing, and so they decided it was time to make a move. And when you go through and you have a uniform belief throughout your front office and you have the right decision makers in place, then you can go out and you can make the correct change and you can get results like this for New York.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where we're gonna see how it plays out, and I do think that sometimes, um, to quote the old saying from you know from Mike Tyson, sometimes you have to get punched in the face to realize you're in a fight, and I think that's you know what the Spurs realized. That okay, now we know. Now we've got a chance to. We've played them. We've looked at some video on them, and we know who they are, and we know what we're up against. So I can guarantee it. There's no way that the Knicks are going to play any better than they did um, the other night. So
Mhm.
you got the best of them, and so now you know what you're up against. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It's a series that, again, you almost kind of hope it goes to game six. But
Hmm.
if New York were to win this series, then that city's going to burn. Like, there's just no one that's going to stop the people of New York and what they're going to do to that city. And especially not the mayor. I mean, he's been out there. He's pretty much just been on the sidelines with them at this point. Um, so they're New York is in trouble if the Knicks do win this title.
Well, okay. It's. I guess that's one of those things where you sit back and go, "Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Whatever it is, one way or another, it's going to be. They're also going to have. They may break. Um, they may break an NBA record for the amount of money paid for tickets to get into an NBA basketball game.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be people that are maybe like putting down second mortgages on houses trying to get there.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no, like, it's insane. Like, you're talking, what is it? I think the get in price is somewhere in the neighborhood of like $3,500.
Yeah. I mean, but again, we're talking about 18,000 people, right?
Yeah,
What isn't really brought out a lot, and it should be. It's the people that go to the Garden, especially during playoff time. It's not your rank and file fans, okay?
no,
It's people from Wall Street. It's a bunch of people who, are. It's kind of a place to be seen, and you gotta.
it's a bit
It's
of a
like a
Super Bowl
status thing if
atmosphere.
you're not there, right?
Yeah,
So you're getting a lot of very rich people in that building.
yeah,
We're not talking about, as I say, it's not like you're going over to see Portland Trailblazers play when you can get in for, and you're still paying $300 to
Hmm.
get in to watch the Knicks play at the Garden. And that's no, that's in the nosebleed seats. But it's the playoffs are always, one of those things where it's you got it's a happening. So you're the vast majority of those tickets that are being scarfed up by people who are more posers than they are fans. I mean, there's a lot of fans there, but there's also a lot of people that it's got to be, I got to be in the building, because if I'm not in the building, then I'm not on the A list.
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
So.
and you got again, that's a good point, because you got a lot of corporate people, you got a lot of sponsors,
Mhm.
people like that who have to take care of their number one clients.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of the corporate type. So anyway, that's going to be pretty wild. Last night, just to touch on it, for the NHL fans, another good game. It was Vegas was up by 2-0 going into the third period, and then Carolina came back at the last minute and tied, and you know went ahead 3-2. Um, then Vegas thought they had a goal, but it was waved off because it was considered that the 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 puck was hit when it was under the goalkeeper. So basically that would be goalkeeper interference if in that regard.
Hmm.
They took the score was at that point tied at 2-2. They made Tortorella made a challenge for the goal, which frankly um, probably wasn't a good idea, because there was no way. I mean, the official was standing literally right behind the goal, so if it was a goal, he would have known it. And so when he did it, if you did, by the way, if you in the last 5 minutes of the game, if you call a timeout, one of these coaches challenges, and you lose, then you get a delay of game, and that person you have to. So you're going to be putting the other team on a power play, and so that's exactly what happened. And
Hmm.
Carolina then went ahead 3-2, and um, then Vegas came back with 90 seconds left, actually less than 90 seconds left, and tied the game. They went into overtime, and Carolina won. So Carolina got 2 goals in that game on power plays, and so we're headed to Vegas 1-1. And so it's this is one of those sign me up for 7 games on this one. It is if they play if the games are as entertaining as these first two have been. I think people are going to be Monday night come the T-Mobile Center in Vegas is going to be rocking.
Yeah, a dream start for hockey overall.
Yeah.
I think just in terms of the types of games. Obviously, the first one 5-4. You're in a situation where you have a goal in the first 25 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, a high scoring affair, and then you back it up with a 4-3 overtime winner.
Hmm.
That's that's as good a start as you can possibly dream to have in a championship series.
Hmm. So meanwhile, back up in Ohio, you telling me Scotty was having some trouble yesterday?
Not just yesterday; it's followed over into today. It was a verbal altercation that he had. Really, more as I say verbal altercation. It was one sided, where he just kind of let Ted Scott have it after he put one in the water on 16, the par three. He said, and these are the quotes from the discussion he was having with Ted Scott. He said, "You don't know how frustrating it is to hit a perfect 7 iron." And basically, he was saying he hit a perfect 7 iron. He was upset that Ted Scott got the win wrong. I mean, he
Hmm.
came up well short. He wasn't in the neighborhood of the green. And it just feels like kind of an encapsulation of what Scotty Scheffler's season has been so far. It's been frustrating for him. You look at the amount of seconds
Hmm.
for a guy that's been so used to winning over the last couple of years. And I think it's honestly worn on him a little bit. And that's really, the first outburst that we've seen out of him. There's rumblings, there's things that people will say in terms of what they believe Scotty Scheffler is or
Mhm.
isn't behind the media. The matter of the fact is that right now he is not playing his best golf. I think you can look at some of the bigger tournaments, and he hasn't been like he's been in contention, but he hasn't been there. And
Mhm.
this week right now, he's completely out of it. He's 2 over today. He's 3 over for the tournament, and he is currently 11 shots out of the lead, which is Ryan Gerard at 8 under. The next grouping is at 5 under, and a bunch of them have yet to get off. But it's something that is interesting when the event that's coming up, like, and what it is, and wonder if maybe that looms a little bit over him and his game right now, and if the guy who has been so good in his mentality and his mental game and really just staying focused, making the right misses, going about his round, not getting too high, too low.
Mhm.
On the emotional side, it almost makes you wonder because you think about Rory and his struggles at Augusta for all those years.
Yeah.
If and I mean, you can even look at Jordan Spieth in what is I think people would call probably the easiest major to attain of the four in the PGA Championship. Spieth was never able to get it done, even at his best.
Mhm.
You wonder how much that final leg of the Grand Slam looms over somebody when they get that close. And it's something that if you asked him about it today, he would dismiss the notion. But I do wonder if it is hard to not have that thing loom in the back of your mind and understand how close you are to history, even though history can be extremely difficult to attain.
Yeah. And but at the end of the day, he still is he still is a guy who you got to pay attention to. And I think that mentally we've always said that usually he grinds it out, but I'm wondering if he's come to a point in time where he just it doesn't work for him anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll be curious to see. I mean, one bad week feels like I think, especially in media, we tend to take one example and just blow it up, especially when it comes to the best in the world, the best in the business, regardless of sport, whether it be a team, whether it be an individual, this, that, and the other. Um, I think it'll be telling. Really, I'm not so much talking about. I'm not thinking about today necessarily. He's already 2 over par. It's more of, is he able to grind it out today, make this cut? Because the cut's currently sitting at 3. He's on the cut line right now in terms of what his score is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see if he's able to grind it out through the back nine, which you would expect him to be able to do. And what does he do the next 2 days?
Sure.
I think that's going to be really telling. And I think it can almost, in a way, like, he's not going to win this golf tournament. He's so far back that he's just not going to win it. But it is odd to see him struggle at a place that he's had so much success over the last 2 years. And really, I think it's at least mild concern, if nothing else, with his game going into Shinnecock, where all eyes are on him. It's going to be the Scotty Scheffler show in New York for the better part of a week, even when they're playing a World Cup and they're having a potential Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, um, it's all about what he wants to do anyway. We all have to sit back and watch, but at the end, it's up to him. Um, you don't get to be where he is um, without getting there and hold and you're going to get scrutinized by everybody. This is just not something you can brush off.
Yeah, no. And you can see it through some of the media interactions.
Hmm.
I think it's fair criticism to say that he hasn't been as good with the media this year. You can see he looks it's almost like he feels it. I guess the general vibe that you get is like frustration and irritation from him so
Hmm.
far this year.
Yeah.
And it does feel a little bit like it has, resulted and rolled over into some of his play.
Hmm.
But, now it's interesting because now people are like criticizing him for it when the criticism, going back a couple years is how I, I guess unemotional and I think boring has been the word that was used. He can be sometimes as a golfer because when he's in the mode, like the switch is just on. It's robotic.
Right.
He does when he's on. And that's missing, but now people are criticizing him for showing emotion. He's always been that emotional guy. You listen to the stories going back to, his amateur days and into college. Like he needed Ted Scott has been a good, kind of level because he can get emotional. Um,
Hmm.
and now you wonder if the level maybe isn't balancing as well as it used to.
Well, I think that's. I think we're finding that's probably more to the truth than anything else.
Hmm.
It's he's not taking. He's not wearing it well right at the moment, and I guess we have to sit back and find out how he thinks he can get this straightened around because, like you said, going into Shinnecock, he's got it. That's the worst time to have headspace problems.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean that place is going to beat you up. And that's mainly because you have to go through the grind of figuring out that wind, hole in and hole out. Like
Hmm.
that's what the beast is. Obviously, if you miss the fairway, you're going to put yourself in a disadvantaged situation. But regardless of where your golf ball sits on the course, the wind's going to be blowing anyways, and that's something where wind adds just that extra element. Listen, tough greens are tough, rough is tough. Like really high well grown rough like you saw at Oakmont last year, that's
Hmm.
tough. And you got to grind out of that stuff, and that's fine. But you kind of know what you're getting out of that stuff, right? Like with the rough, if you get a bad lie, you've just got to punch out and hopefully you hit a good third and you're able to go make par. Like that's kind of the thought process there. The greens are quick, like you know what you're getting. The problem with the wind is that it's so variable and it changes so often, and you have to grind over every single shot because there's the variable that has the greatest impact on your shot is changing every single shot.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. To me, there's a lot of stuff going on that I think is more in his head than it is um, mechanical.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, he's got the same golf swing. He's got the same swing coach he's had since he was you know, a junior. And it's not mechanical. It is mental, and he's got to find a way to grind through it. I mean, that's what golf is. That's the way golf is. And again, I've talked about it before. Like caddies are out there, and you have your teams, but this is an individual sport, so it's on the individual, and it's on him to be able to kind of grind through this tough stretch that he's going through.
Yeah, and you got to hope if you're a fan of his that this is something that we will be able to overcome. Yeah,
Yeah,
I should say he should be able to overcome. Um, you know, it's going to be fun,
yeah,
and we'll see. Absolutely see. Let's go over to Major League Baseball, where some interesting series are coming up this weekend. The first of them is not interesting, but I'll put it up there anyway because I'm contractually obligated to do it. 2:20 this afternoon, Giants and Cubs. That game, it's Ray against Cabrera. Not exactly moved the needle on that one. Mariners Tigers. That one is being played in Detroit tonight. Wu was pitching for Seattle. Detroit's got Velez. Um, White Sox Phillies. That could be entertaining. The White Sox are playing a lot better than people expected them, and the Phillies are starting to play better. So it's kind of a key series for both these teams who, if they want to continue to, see who's got the mojo as we can move toward the All Star break. Here's one that you probably might want to watch, and that's the Red Sox Yankees tonight. Looks like,
It depends.
yeah, Sonny Gray is on the hill for Boston. The Yankees got Weathers. Um, the Yankees, of course, Aaron Judge is not going to be playing tonight.
Mhm.
His injury put him in a position where we don't exactly know when or how this is going to work out. But
He has a fractured rib. It's his first rib,
yeah,
if I remember correctly. He is going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks.
hmm
The reports that I read said there was a deep sigh of relief, essentially, among the Yankees personnel, because they thought it was going to be much worse. They thought this thing was. I think the general belief was that this thing was going to end his season. They seemingly have avoided that at this juncture,
yeah,
but I think rib injuries are something that can be a little tricky and a little finicky. And so it definitely needs to, like, this is one of those things where you don't rush this guy back. You believe in the team that you've built. And if you built it correctly, then you should not have to worry about Aaron Judge being out.
mm-mm.
I think there is going to be some legitimate concern in terms of the New York Yankees overall. I'm concerned as to whether or not that lineup works. And again, it's Aaron Judge. Like, the guy you're taking out of the lineup
Right,
is, multiple MVPs.
right,
He's been the face of Major League Baseball aside from Shohei Ohtani for the
right.
past 5 years. So it's no small subtraction, but you still have to be able to, order a lineup, and this lineup has to be able to work without him, even with how great he is and how again, I've talked about it. It's like a really good starting pitcher. Sometimes having that guy in the lineup, it allows everybody to kind of slot in and they understand their roles and their position in the lineup a little
Right.
better. And now that changes, and so there can be some growing pains, but
hmm
give it 2 weeks, and I think they'll probably figure it out.
Well, I think the other thing too, and you touched on this, rib injuries are tricky from a standpoint of the fact that there's so many different organs around the ribs that you know if you rush somebody back and they get something happens from a standpoint of maybe he makes a dive to make a catch or or just moves in one general direction or the other and make a quick move, that rib could puncture something. And so I think more than anything you just want to let it go. And when the doctor says, hell, if he didn't play till after the All-Star break, I don't think it would be a big deal.
Yeah, and the biggest thing with the rib is, like, it's not something where, sometimes there are some injuries where it's like, like, he can hit. We're
Yeah,
just not going to push him out into the field. This isn't
right.
something where he can hit. Like, you think about the rotation that
Yeah,
baseball, it's all in the core. There's a lot of it in the core.
yeah.
I go back to last year. Was it last year or the year before? At this point, he's played so few baseball games, I forget.
Mm.
But the Red
Um,
Sox
yeah,
have a first baseman, Tristan Casas, who
yeah.
literally tore, like, cartilage in his ribs because he swung so hard.
Right.
That was something. So this isn't a situation where you can kind of, like, like, we'll just DH him. Like, no, this is
Yeah.
this is a you got to be completely healthy to come back in this
hmm
scenario. We're not rushing this thing back.
Absolutely. The other thing, which I think is you're curious, is that you know at this point in time, the Rays haven't been playing all that great right lately, and so you kind of have, you know, if and there's no reason to believe the Judge isn't going to be in the stadium and in the dugout, right?
Hmm.
Just not playing. So he'll be there to be a cheerleader for the team and to help the team from that standpoint. So that'll be fine. But yeah, I mean the Yankees. If the Yankees can't play, at least I was going to say 500 or a little bit better, then you know then they don't deserve to be in first place.
Yeah,
Um,
but I
because
mean,
this division has not been it's been up and down all season.
yeah, I think the thing that gives you the most hope as a Yankees fan, even with this injury, is
Mhm.
the fact that you're one of 5 teams in the American League that has a winning record.
Right.
The other 5 are, and I mean, again, this is just no disrespect when you look at them. Like talked about branding yesterday in college football. There's a certain aspect of that that goes into this in baseball. Like the
Mhm.
Yankees don't see Tampa Bay and they're like, oh God, it's Tampa Bay. The same way they're not going to see the White Sox and be
Right.
like, oh no, it's the White Sox. And I mean, to an extent, that I think the same thing goes for the Mariners and the Guardians as well. Like, I don't think I think they think of themselves in a different realm than those teams. And considering those are the teams that they're currently in competition with, as the only 5 teams in the American League with a winning record,
Right.
we still feel pretty good about where they are, even without Aaron Judge for the next four to
Yeah.
six.
I mean, you coast. Um, you just have to play, guttier brand of ball. You just have to, you know, you can't make mistakes, and you need your pitching to help you through. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we don't have the big guy in there, but we still got 9 players on the field that can win a baseball game for us.
Yeah, and they have the rotation to like go
Mhm.
through and get it done. If I
Yeah,
remember correctly, I think Max Fried is currently not in the rotation for
not,
them.
but he'll be back in a little while.
Yeah, he'll be back. But and when he is back, you've got Garrett Cole, who's pitched fantastic since he's returned.
Yeah,
Carlos Rodon looks really good. Cam Schlittler's one of the top, one of the top candidates for the AL Cy Young at the moment. Ryan Weathers, their fourth, is currently got rocking like a low 3 ZRA.
right.
So their rotation is fine. Their rotation has plenty of depth as a unit and as a whole. So they'll be fine in terms of their pitching. But now they've got to win baseball games in a little different way because it
Mhm.
does take away a legitimate and their main source of power in that lineup.
Well, and the other thing too, and it's kind of like, not that you want somebody to get injured to get it there, but you give you give him 6 weeks off, and that's 6 weeks that it hasn't worn him down.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes back. It'll take him a while. Even it is Jaron Judge, but still, it's going to take him a while to get back with his swing and all that. But especially with a rib situation. But once he's back and he's healthy, he's there's still a lot more tread on those tires than that wasn't there the couple days before,
Yeah, and
couple weeks before, I should say.
I do think there is some value in learning how, like, I
Mhm.
say learning. Hopefully, they already know, but in being able to kind of adapt and learn how to win these baseball games
Mhm.
without him in the lineup, I think
Yeah,
there's a definite plus. And if you're able to go out there and play well without him, it can add a different level of confidence
sure.
to that clubhouse and to that lineup because it does feel good when you are reminded like, hey, we're a good team. Like, yes, he's a great player, but we're a good team without him in the
Hmm.
lineup too.
Well, you can win, with him, without him. Um, the Orioles are in Toronto. These two teams have exactly the same record. Uh, Young for Baltimore tonight, and Toronto is going to go with Yusavish. Uh, and this will be an interesting test for those two teams. The Rays are in Miami to take on the Marlins. The Marlins have been a scrappy little team as of late. Um, Drew Rasmussen is pitching for the Rays tonight. Down in Miami is going to be Gusto, who hasn't started yet this season. This is his first start. He's got a 9 ERA, so that gives you an idea what's going on with that. But my guess is that he's just an opener. I don't know that he's gonna, that this is one of his. I mean, if he pitches in a couple innings and gives him some and gets some guys out, well then maybe they keep him in. But I think this is going to be one of those bullpen games.
Hmm.
Here's a game, a series that I probably will watch some of it. It's the Pirates in Atlanta. The Pirates have been playing well lately. They're 34-29. Obviously, we know the Braves at 42-21 are the best team in baseball right now. Um, Keller, who's pitched well for Pittsburgh this year, is going against Perez, who's pitched well for Atlanta. And I think this is going to be a nice little season, a nice little series for these two teams to get a gauge on who they really are.
Yeah, I think more of anything. The you said Mariners and Tigers, right? I'm just making sure I'm not mixing it up
Where
with.
what? I
Did
said
you say
Pirates and Braves.
Pirates and Braves? Okay. Um, yeah, more than anything, if the Pirates win this series, I
Mhm.
think it's confirmation to that clubhouse more than anything. Like
Uh-huh.
they've been playing good baseball, but sometimes there needs to be almost that like kind of inflection point on your season where you
Right,
can look back and be like, hey, this is where we kind of like this is where things changed or this is where we understood. This will be the inflection point for the Pittsburgh Pirates
right.
because if you are able to go into Atlanta and win a series against a team that, if I remember correctly, has only lost two series, I think, so far this year.
Hmm.
Like they've been, they've been the best team in baseball. Like it's
Right.
not up for debate by any measure. Um, so yeah, you go into their building and you beat that team, then yeah, it's an inflection
Mhm.
point. It reminds you that hey, we are this good, and all I guess to a certain extent, you wonder like there's got to be some level of where the Pittsburgh Pirates things that have happened, over our past however many years, like the past
Mhm.
decade, really for them. They just haven't been in a good position. This is a proving like this is proof that you are what you've been thus far for them.
Mhm. And I think that whenever you go in and play, you always want to play against teams that are better than you to gauge how well you're playing. And let's
Yeah,
say let's say they take one of these three games, they don't get them all. But if they're competitive in all three games, even that, I know there's no such thing as moral victories, but there's a gauge where you can come up and say, you know what, okay, fine. We went in, we played the best team at baseball, and we competed against them. And Skeens is going to be in this somewhere in the next 2 days. So it'll give them. I mean, I think if the Pirates can take, you know, one, if they can win the series, that'd be great. And it's just going to, keep them going and let them know, okay, we're the trajectory is good.
yeah,
So there's that. Athletics Astros. I'm not sure that anybody outside of Sacramento and Southeast Texas is overwhelmingly interested in this game. Perkins for the Athletics and Lambert for Houston. The Cardinals and the Reds. That's another little series that in the Central where two teams are going to beat up on each other. And the Cardinals are at home, and the Reds are in town. Singer for Cincinnati, Lee Leahy is pitching for St. Louis. Guardians Rangers for some reason is Apple TV's game of the week. Um, I'm sorry to say, there's absolutely no, from my personal standpoint as a baseball fan, uh, you know, I I just can't. It's just, this does not do anything for me. That game is like, if I were a programming executive at Apple TV and I'm putting this up instead of the Yankees, Red Sox, or the Pirates and the Braves, I'm firing somebody.
yeah, yeah. No, that's just not a. It's just not a good product. Like they have a it's a fun pitching matchup. Kumar Rocker is,
Yeah,
when he's good, he's fun to watch, and Parker Messick's been fantastic for
yeah,
Cleveland thus far. But in terms of a matchup, like when you look at some of the matchups you have going on this week in some of the series,
right.
yeah, no, I'm not dying to turn on Guardians Rangers, and I'm sure as hell not going to subscribe to Apple TV just to watch the Guardians and the Rangers play baseball.
But you know what? This is the one, their backup game, which the reason they have these games like this is if they're raining in Texas, then then they have a backup game. Their backup game is obviously, I know you're going to want to subscribe for this one. The Royals and the Twins.
Yeah, I happened to I pulled it up right as you were talking about it, and I saw it, and boy, what a treat that one would be to watch as well. Wow, there's 25 and 38 and 29 and 35 going up against each other.
Is that still is that Michael Waka still pitching?
That is Michael Walker. I mean, he's still got it. He's 4-3 with 3.23.
Yeah, it's
But
not bad.
I'm not just again. I'm not dying to subscribe to Apple TV to watch Michael Walker go up against Zebby Matthews. In the 8-15 game in Minnesota. So
I don't know. I would have, if I was programming Apple, I would have gone Yankees and Red Sox, Pirates and Braves.
yeah, you would think. I mean, even to an extent, like
Well,
in terms
Cardinals, Reds.
in terms of like a fun, series matchup
Mhm.
that
Right.
not a lot of people are going to necessarily like turn on and watch just because the Nationals and the Diamondbacks is kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Like there's it feels like, man, there's so many better options than the Royals and the Twins being your backup game or the Guardians and the Rangers being your leadoff game. Like I just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Orioles, Blue Jays, like at least then you're
Yeah.
getting an AL East rivalry. Like something. Give me something.
And that leads us right into the Nationals and Diamondbacks. Griffin for the Nationals, and Arizona's got Kelly. Funny thing with the Nationals, they beat teams that were way better than they are, and then they lost an entire series to the Marlins. It was just one of those things where you looked up and went, "How does this?" It's like the team players on the team were going, "What just happened?" We just we just took the two series from you know teams that were very good in their division, and then we just blew an entire weekend series with the Marlins.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the
yeah,
Nationals are one of the Braves series losses this year.
yeah,
So they're legit, they're for real. This offense does go with CJ Abrams and James Wood.
yeah,
I think that's like a key one. Their pitching's been a little better than I think everybody expected, but the number one way to flush that Marlins series is to go win a series on the road against a team with a winning record in the Arizona
yeah,
Diamondbacks.
yeah.
The Diamondbacks have been solid. They've got some decent pitching. They don't have the
Mhm.
best pitching. They have a really big ballpark. So, Nationals scored 7 runs over 3 games against the
Mhm.
Marlins. The Marlins scored 7 runs twice against them in that
Yeah,
series. So I think that's a little telling of the way things went. You want to get that offense going, go up
mhm.
against Arizona's pitching in that big ballpark, get the bats rolling again.
Yeah, that'll work. Mets Padres. It's when you look at that record for the Mets at 27 and 35, it's you know it's kind of hard to look at that record and going into San Diego for a big weekend series. It's big. I'm saying it's big more for the Padres than for the Mets. They want to keep close to the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, and that's where the Mets Padres are. Scott for the Mets, and the Padres have King. And then the last game of the night is out at Chavez Ravine in Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers and the Angels in the I-5 Freeway Series. Um, the Dodgers have not named a pitcher yet. Sasaki is pitching for. I'm sorry, the Dodgers have named a pitcher. It's Sasaki. What happened that fooled me here is they had two. It was listed as both was listed as Los Angeles. So,
Okay, yeah.
so I look at it, I assumed it was Dodgers. And wait a minute, it says Los Angeles, and then the rest of the other one says the Los Angeles Dodgers. So okay, so the Dodgers are pitching Sasaki, who's 3-3 with the 4.59 ERA, and right now we don't know who the Angels have chosen to.
I've got it listed.
Oh, you got it.
It says it's Reed Detmers. He's 2-5 with a 4.63 ERA.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something. Um, Real quick, before we get out of here, French Open finals, men's tomorrow, women's tomorrow, men's on Sunday, and NASCAR is this weekend, and IndyCar is at Michigan. So there's a lot of F1 is in Monaco. So if you're a race fan, you got a full day of racing on Sunday. So a lot of stuff going on, guys. Enjoy it, have fun, have a safe weekend, and Matthew and I'll be back here on Monday to talk about it. Any final things? Oh, you talked about some of these super regionals. Anything interesting going on in the super regionals?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't feel like it's an understatement to say that the Georgia and Mississippi State series is probably going to be your best super regional matchup in terms of what these who these two baseball teams are, the history that they have throughout this season. I think that's going to be your best super regional matchup. I mean, somebody deserves to be executed over there at ESPN for whoever's making these game times because I don't think there's any like I don't think there should be any pushback on this being the best super regional in terms of like the quality of the two teams that you're getting facing off. On Saturday they play at 11 a.m. and on Sunday they play at 12. That's like television malpractice in terms of what you're putting on
Wait,
the
wait, wait a
state
minute.
putting college
Okay,
baseball on.
are they playing in Starkville or are they playing in Athens?
They're playing in Athens.
So they're playing in Athens at 11 a.m. tomorrow,
Yep.
and then noon on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be up to watch it.
Yeah. That's like I said, television malpractice.
It's
Out of
not
ES.
like I mean, it's not like hell. They could put it on the SEC channel if that's where where they wanted to go with it. I mean, it's not like they have to do it. I don't know.
Well,
That's crazy.
and I guess the question that I have is like, what's competing? Are they were they afraid of it? Was it something where they scheduled on Saturday? Thinking like we want our best matchup early because Yankees Red Sox is on what is it Fox on Saturday night? Like, is that
Well, yeah,
something that?
but that's not going to hurt you. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're either a college baseball fan or you're not, okay,
yeah,
that's the way it works out. But and they've got, they've got I don't know what counter programming that they're contractually obligated to, but even if they were contractually obligated to whatever it was, right? You could still put it on the SEC network. You could put it on the Deuce. You could put it on any number of different places.
yeah. You would think that they would have gotten a little more creative and found a better time slot. Like Georgia's athletic director Josh Brooks, even he put
Mhm.
something out. Let's see if I can go find it really quick. He was not exactly pleased with the scheduling of these games either. Yeah. Yeah, he said nothing says top remaining seed like an 11 a.m. Saturday start for game one. Those were his words on X.
Where's where's SC playing?
I thought they should not be hosting. I don't believe.
No,
Let's see.
they're UCLA.
Chapel Hill.
They're
They're
in
playing
Chapel.
with Chapel Hill. Yeah,
Okay, so what time's that game?
that series starts at 3 p.m. today.
So that's a noon start for LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
Auburn and Ole Miss is your 8 p.m. tonight. And then
Really?
going to tomorrow, the 8 o'clock game is going to be Oregon at Texas. Um, really, your evening slate is at 5. You have Auburn and Ole Miss. At 6, you have Oklahoma and Kansas. That will lead you into Oregon, Texas, and then finally your nightcap at 9 p.m. is going to be St. John's in Alabama.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Georgia and Mississippi State get the day started. Then they take you over to West Virginia and Cal Poly at noon. North Carolina and USC at 2, Troy and Little Rock at 3. That's all tomorrow. Today's is USC and Carolina are at 3, Little Rock and Troy are at 5, Ole Miss and Auburn are at 8 p.m. And West Virginia and Cal Poly are currently underway.
That's crazy. Right?
Perplexing.
Perplexing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Yeah. Um, I man, um, I really, I you know, it's. I'm a bit speechless because if you look at that, if you look at what they're putting in prime time,
Mm-hmm.
and look at, and we've talked about Auburn being a good baseball team. I'm not downgrading
Yeah.
Auburn here, but if you want compelling, there's at least 3 or 4 games there that are far more compelling than that one.
Yeah. Well, and Auburn was the number 4 overall seed, so they it wasn't like they like backdoored their way into this thing.
No, I'm not saying that. No.
Yeah, you still got a really good like SEC matchup, but again, and not necessarily tonight because it's only 4 games on today, but like why are Little Rock and Troy playing at 2 p.m.? Like you would think you would push it back just to get because that game is going to stand out amongst others. I at least in my personal opinion, I have my own biases
Mhm.
to that, but it's confusing at the least why it's your very first game of the day. I believe on both Saturday and Sunday. Like
I Yeah, I would.
Sunday, you're in direct competition with the church crowd, and I mean, like
Mhm.
when just put it as it is. These are both Southern teams. Like
Yeah,
they're most likely to be impacted by the 12 p.m. start in terms of their viewership.
absolutely, absolutely. There's gonna be it's not like they're gonna not know, right?
Hmm.
Um, they're gonna lose some audience there without any question whatsoever.
But
Um,
luckily, Alabama and St. John's at 3 p.m. on Sunday.
yeah, yeah, like New York's gonna be paying attention at
Hmm.
all, at all to it.
Absolutely.
And I'm just gonna say this, and then we can move on for the weekend. Just because it's a curious matchup and one that I think might be entertaining from a standpoint of they haven't been here before.
Hmm.
Um, I think the Cal Poly West Virginia thing would be, to me, that if you're gonna take a game and you know and put it in position like tonight to burn it, because people are gonna watch the NBA, so forget, you don't have to worry about that. But certainly people in West Virginia and and Central Southern California are going to be watching to see how Cal Poly plays.
Hmm.
So I would, if you're going to burn a game, I'd burn that one.
Yeah, and I mean they put it pretty early in the windows as well
Yeah.
because that's the game that's underway right now. Cal Poly's currently down 1-3. At West Virginia is the home team today because again, it's important to note that the home team will rotate in these series because of course it will. So
Because
Cal
that makes
Poly.
all the sense in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cal Poly in the Morgantown Super Regional, Cal Poly is the away team today. They will be the home team tomorrow, and then if there's a game 3, they would be the away team again, I believe.
Okay. One last quickie. Um, University of Tampa in D2 um, beat Westchester last night. If they beat Westchester tonight, then they are a 3-time consecutive Division II World Series champions and the 11th time they've won the World Series. Both would be records. So
It's insane.
um, good on the Tampa Spartans. Tino Martinez is home team. Also, a guy who used to have some pretty decent, uh, some decent years uh, with in Major League Baseball is Tony La Russa. Tony was from there as well. So anyway, the Spartans have ruled, and the interesting thing is the team that they would they're tied with record wise now in World Series um, wins is their arch rival, Florida Southern from Lakeland. So the two best, you know, D2 baseball programs are in the same conference
Yeah.
and approximately 40 miles apart. So there you go. So good luck to the Spartans tonight, and to your Georgia Bulldogs, for all the best this weekend. And I hope that y'all have a great weekend. And you know, there's a lot going on to watch, but hopefully the weather's nice in your part of the country. Get out and you know enjoy yourself. And Matt and I'll be back on Monday to talk to you about it. Take care, everybody.